Hare Krishna.
Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Iti Namine.
Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Iti Namine.
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Kashita Deshatarine.
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine.
Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girvaradari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girvaradari.
Yashodanandana Brij Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Brij Janaranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hari Bol.
Krishna, thank you, Ravi Prabhu and Avani Mataji. Thank you so much for the wonderful kirtan. How is everyone doing? Happy, healthy, everything okay? In this time of upheaval. So I see Ramohan Prabhu and Monisha Mataji and Karina Mataji, Ravi Prabhu and family, and Abhishek Prabhu is also present. Lakshay Prabhu, thank you all. Megha Mataji, Yashoda Mataji, Karthik Prabhu, Gandhi Prabhu, thank you so much. And Sampada Mataji as well for taking out your valuable time on this Saturday evening to read, understand the science of Bhagavad Gita. So we will get started. Last time we completed chapter 2 in our session number 12. So we will begin a new chapter in this session, which is the 13th session, and the next chapter is chapter number 3. But before we begin, let's maybe read or hear some glories of Bhagavad Gita from the Gita Mahatmya. Gita sugita kartavya kimanya shastra vistrahi yasvayam padmanabhasya mukha padmad vinishritaha. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one need not read any other scripture. One need only attentively and regularly read Bhagavad Gita. In this present age, people are so absorbed in mundane activities, it is not possible to read all the Vedic literatures. But this is not necessary either. The one book, Bhagavad Gita, will be sufficient because it is coming directly from the lotus mouth of Sri Bhagavan Krishna. Yas Swayam Padma Nabhasya Mukha Padmad Vinishritah. This is coming from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord. So this is not an ordinary book. This is not an ordinary message. This is message for our purification, to understand the real goal of life, to understand the real duties, and especially in this third chapter, we'll talk about karma. In chapter 2, we studied about a few things, which was the essence of Bhagavad Gita, Gita. The acronym for chapter 2 was Gita, Gita. Easy to remember, right? G stands for Guru. To understand the spiritual subject matter, we need a bona fide spiritual master or Guru. Guru is one who helps us to come out of darkness, who shows us the light. Om Agyana Timrandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. So, in this scenario, Krishna is Arjuna's Guru. And Guru helps us to understand the Sambandha. There are three things in Bhakti: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. And we can also see that in chapter 2 as well. So Guru helps us to understand the Sambandha, to do the right Abhideya, which will lead to the right Prayojan. Sambandha is the identity, G-I. Who am I? Who is Krishna? What is my relationship with him? Who is the source of everything? I'm the spirit soul. I'm not this body. And my relationship with the Supreme Lord is as a servant of his servant. This is my true identity. When one's identity is properly established, when one is in one's true identity, then only one can strive for happiness. Otherwise, one will try to just work on the bodily level without knowing one's true identity. And that person is considered as a fool, one who does not know who he is or she is. And then comes to two duties. That is basically Abhideya. What we have to do, the conditional duties and the constitutional duties, keeping Krishna as the center. Someone is housewife, someone is a student, someone is a college grad, someone is a retired person, someone is a businessman, etc. We all have different conditional duties. but we all have one common constitutional duty, and that is to serve Krishna, to remember Krishna, to worship Him in the different ninefold ways of bhakti. And that will lead to prayojan. That will lead to the topmost destination. One will become self-realized. One will become sthita pragya. One will become Atmarama, the A for Atmarama, Gita. This is the essence of chapter 2. And if we just understand chapter 2 and just follow it, it's very simple. Rest all are details. Rest all is to help us go deeper and deeper and understand the intricacies. And because a conditioned soul like me, even if we hear chapter 2, let's say 5 times, after 5 weeks again I'll forget and go back to my old stuff. Therefore, it is very, very important to keep reminding us regularly. And therefore, we have these sessions, we have sadhu sangha, we have the chanting of the holy name, we have the reading of the Bhagavatam, so that we can keep reminding ourselves. Because the example given is like a Titanic. If I Titanic, let me share my screen, it'll be easier. So just imagine like a big ship, okay? Imagine a big ship is going in a certain direction, okay? It's going in the direction upwards, okay? And that direction happens to be the complete direction of materialism or sense or hellish condition, right? Hellish life. Now, through the medium of Bhagavad Gita, through the medium of sadhus, through the medium of devotees, through the medium of the right scriptures, we understand, well, this is the wrong direction. We need to change our GPS to the right direction, which is we have to go this way. It won't be easy for this big, huge ship with a lot of momentum to quickly make a turn, right? So even before the ship can, turn, there will be a big kind of keep going, and slowly take a turn, and it will be a big, curvature, right? Therefore, we need the association of devotees to help us maneuver our life, to guide GPS, Guru Parampara system. So I just thought to share a quick background of chapter 2 before we kind of dive deeper into chapter 3. And before that, let's do some prayers, because whatever we discuss here, whatever we talk about here is not what I think or you think. It's all the message of Guru Parampara. Therefore, seeking their blessings, taking their permission, invoking auspiciousness or Mangalacharan is Mangalacharan prayers is very, very important. So that by the mercy of the Guru Parampara, our teachers, the chain of disciplic succession, we can be empowered to speak something and we can be empowered to understand something. Because a grateful heart, a humble heart, is the right medium or is the right fertile soil in which the seed of bhakti will grow. Bhagavad Gita is not about knowledge. Bhakti is not about knowledge. Bhakti is not about how I speak or how many shlokas I know. Bhakti is about making our heart humble and fertile for the seed of bhakti or for the seed of bhakti to grow, to receive, um, because bhakti is not a commodity we can buy. Bhakti is given by the Guru Parampara and based on our sincerity, humility, gratitude. So let's chant these prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Namo Kinchana Vittaya Nivritta Gunavrittaye Atmaramaya Shantaya Kevalye Pataye Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear wonderful Vaishnavis, thank you so much for taking out your precious time to read Bhagavad Gita. My deepest gratitude for those who joined a little later. Kartik Prabhu, Sudhir Prabhu, Shreya Mataji, Mohan Prabhu, Vipul Prabhu, and Prabhu Ekant Prabhu, and Vijay Mataji, and Aparna Mataji, who joining all the way from India at such an early hour. Really, my deepest gratitude to you. It's not easy to, and for those who don't know, she's my school teacher. So in this, when I was in 6th, 7th grade, she has taught me, my brother, my sister, and still doing it. Thousands and thousands of children have learned not just the subjects from her, but also a great deed of values and morals, and which has certainly shaped us in for what we are today. So thank you so much for your deep sharing as a teacher and as a great example for the society. We're so indebted to you. And so let's begin chapter number 3, Karma Yoga. Okay, and raise your hand, as you know, for those who would like to read, so everyone can get a chance to read the translations at least. Arjuna Vacha Gyayasi Chet Karmanaste Mata Matta Buddhir Janardana Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam Niyojyasi Keshava. Yes, Vidhi.
Arjuna said, O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Very nice. So we'll discuss the subject, and after reading the next shloka also. The first 2 shlokas are spoken by Arjuna here. Pop quiz: how many verses chapter 2 has? Anyone knows?
72, Prabhuji.
72. Very nice. And how many chapter 1 has? 46. Okay. And chapter 3 has about 43 verses. Chapter 2 is one of the biggest ones, second largest, I believe, after chapter 18. 18 has about 78. So just some information you don't have to remember. 700 verses are there in Bhagavad Gita. This, I believe, all of you must be well aware that there are 700 verses. Can anyone tell me how many verses were spoken by Krishna in that 700, out of those 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita? Anyone knows? Okay, for those who want to write, 574 verses are spoken by Krishna. How many by Dhritarashtra? Anyone?
One. Only one.
Only one. I think that's the first verse, easiest one. Dhritarashtra Vacha. Would anyone like to say? Lakshay, you want to speak that verse?
Yes, Prabhuji. Dhritarashtra Vacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsaha Mamaka Pandavascheva Kima Kurota Sanjaya.
Very good. Thank you. And then comes Sanjay.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
the original Bhagavad Gita was having around more than 500 shlokas when Vyasa wrote it. Later on, during these years, 5,000 years, slowly they have increased.
Okay, Prabhuji, we can look into that. So Sanjay spoke 41 verses. Okay. Sanjay spoke 41 out of the 700. And Arjuna has spoken 84. So 1 plus 41 plus 84 plus 574. Who knows the answer?
700.
700. Vipul Prabhu is good at math. I guess that's why Viraj got the special award of in the junior program or something. So very good. Okay, it's just a fact thing for some of you may like facts. 141 and then 84 and 574. That's the composition of the 700 verses. So Arjuna opens up with a question. In chapter 2, Krishna has spoken a lot of things about buddhi, karma, jnana, senses, sense control, etc. Let's see the second verse and then we'll discuss this topic of Arjuna's questions. Vyami Shreneva Vakyena Buddhimo Hayash Sivame Tad Ekam Vada Nishchitya Yena Shreyo Aham Apunyam. Yes, Lakshay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation. My intelligence is bewildered by your
Equivocal.
equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. Hare Krishna. You're muted, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Lakshay Prabhu. Yeah, I was muted. You're right. So this chapter opens up with the two questions of Arjuna. And why is Arjuna asking these questions? It's not for him. It is, Prabhupada is mentioning so nicely here. In other words, by his questions, his means Arjuna's question, he's clearing the path of Krishna consciousness for all the students who seriously want to understand the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita. Because there is a lot of confusion on the name of Bhagavad Gita. Some people say, well, I will not touch Bhagavad Gita because if I get Bhagavad Gita in my home, then my home will become Kurukshetra. That means people will start fighting, husband and wife will start fighting, brothers will start fighting, as if now it is Vrindavan. Rather than Rather than by having Bhagavad Gita, the home will become Vrindavan. That means loving devotional service. Some people say, oh, those who don't go to ISKCON, if you go to ISKCON, you'll just do mala. You'll give up everything. You'll become a Babaji, and you will. There's a lot of misconceptions people have. So in this chapter, Krishna is clarifying those misconceptions. That bhakti does not mean inaction. So Krishna is condemning here inaction, here, which you will see later. And therefore, Arjuna is confused, equivocal. Equivocal means you can do this, you can do that, you can do this also, everything is okay. Inaction, reaction, confusion. So should I fight or should I not fight? What is right? Tell me, Nishchay. Out of, tell me, Yat Shreya. In the chapter 2 also, in the 7th verse, he asked, Yat Shreya Samnishtitam Bruhitan me. Right? Please tell me very, very clearly. In over here also, Krishna is being asked by Arjuna. Therefore, please tell me decisively, Yena Shreyo Ham Apnuyam. You please, Nishchaya. Tell me with certainty. I do not want to leave an iota of doubt here. I want to be very, very clear. And I want to, because people can misinterpret Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna is again asking, and Krishna is such a patient teacher. So we see the qualities of a great student should ask the question in the right mood, in a humble mood. Arjuna is asking for all of us so that we can be benefited. And Krishna will not say, well, I tell you're not a good student, right? You didn't hear properly. Krishna is going to eagerly explain all these points. So a lot of people again and again think that, sometimes some people even may take to brahmacharya ashram. By the way, for information, let's say there are 100,000 members in the ISKCON society. Just an example. More than 95% of the devotees are in the Grihastha ashram. Okay. More than 95%. And someone may be, young, 10 year, 12 year, we're not counting those because they will also most likely join or 95% of those will also join the Grihastha ashram. That is the common, and which is absolutely fine. Arjuna was Grihastha. Prahlad Maharaj was Grihastha. Out of the 12 great Mahajans, 7 of them were Grihasthas, which shows that it's here. Arjuna was thinking that, renunciation is better. Why are you engaging me? At one point, you are saying about a karma, about, action, reaction, all that stuff. And now you are asking me to engage in this ghastly warfare. So this is the doubt of Arjuna. So, and Prabhupada mentioned that without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy names in secluded place where one may acquire cheap adoration from the innocent people, etc. So Arjuna thought that Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga, so Buddhi Yoga is often referred to as Krishna consciousness or intelligence. Literal meaning is Buddhi means intelligence. Intelligence and spiritual advancement as something retirement from spiritual, retirement from work, retirement from active life. That was Arjuna's doubt. Arjuna thought Krishna consciousness means retirement. And that's what people think. Oh, these devotees, they just do mala, they don't do anything. Rather, those who are really Krishna conscious devotees, they can vouch for that. Their weekends are more busier than the weekdays. If your weekend is more busy in Krishna consciousness than the weekday, then you are really a Krishna conscious devotee. Right? Prabhuji agrees with that. What in material life? People think, oh, weekend, I'll just go to the beach and just relax and take it easy, or I'll go fishing, I'll do deer hunting, I'll get up at 9, 10 o'clock and just take it easy. So this is not bhakti. Rather, a devotee is much more spiritually active. not for one's the sense gratification, but for spiritual advancement, because time is less. Now we know that. Now the world is coming, realizing that Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Talamala. We don't know when could be the last day. Every day we are hearing news of 30-year-old dying, 40-year-old dying amongst our family, friends, near and dear ones, relatives. They're not just old people in their 70s or 80s or 90s. Some of them are so young. Death does not distinguish. So better here, Arjuna is asking for all of us our clarity. What is spiritual life? People think that some people become brahmachari, and what do? They sit in the temple. They just eat prasad. What they have to do, right? For those who say like that, they have not lived even one day of their lives. If they live one day of their lives, then they will understand that these brahmacharis are not lazy bunch of people who have, who had nothing else in the material world to do. We know devotees like Gauranga Prabhu and so many wonderful Radhisham Prabhu. They are graduates from big, big prestigious institutes where people are dying to go in. IITs, MIT. Some people are double PhDs. They have not given up their active life for pursuing something for a path of laziness. No, their life are 100 times more active than their counterparts or their so-called friends in the material world. So this is a very, very important point to understand, because people have this doubt. A lot of people have this doubt that bhakti means to give up studies, to give up job, to give up family, go to the forest and just do some mala. This is not the real bhakti. This is not the general path. Most of the, as I said, 95% of the ISKCON devotees, well-wishers, initiated, non-initiated, etc., they are actively pursuing their material life. And for a devotee, actually nothing is material. Their job, their family, their career, their studies, everything is spiritual. Why? Because the goal is Krishna. If the goal is sense gratification, then that becomes materialistic activity. But if the goal for studies, for family, for bhakti, for business, everything, we can make that Krishna conscious, then it is no more just a material act, but it is an act of bhakti. These are the very good questions of Arjuna. Let's see what Lord Shri Krishna responds. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Lokesmin Dvividha Nishtha Pura Prokta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. Yes, Aparna Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there were two classes of men who tried to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service.
Thank you so much. So in chapter 2, we discussed that Lord Krishna has spoken about multiple topics like Sankhya Yoga, empiricals, which is basically analytical, process. Okay, this is not supreme. This pen is not supreme. This laptop is not supreme. This is not the real goal of life. Neti, neti, neti. This is also temporary. Then what is that? Experimentation process. This is more like a ascending process. It's a longer process. And then the bhakti yoga process, the karma yoga process, jnana yoga process. And we know, ultimately Krishna said, to abandon all religions and surrender unto me. That it means to take to the process of full Krishna consciousness. In the 61st verse, also Krishna explained about Bhuddhi Yoga. That means by working by the principles of Krishna consciousness. Mat paraha. If you remember that, we discussed in the 61st verse, Mat paraha. And Prabhupada makes a very, very important point here. Religion without philosophy is sentiment, or sometimes fanaticism. Can anyone give example of this? Anyone would like to share an example? Religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanatism. And while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. Sometimes we see some fanatic people that, okay, what I'm doing is the best thing, and rest all are fools, they must be killed. That leads to fanatic ideas. So without understanding with the true purpose of religion, what is what is the philosophy behind it? What is God trying to tell in this religion? Because ultimately, what is the true purpose of all religion is to love Krishna, and a true person who. Therefore, we have to nicely balance the philosophy and the religion, or the sentiments and the theoretical understanding behind it. So the empirical understanding, or the jnana, and the karma, or the kind of the two parallel paths which lead to the same goal. Of these two paths, the path in Krishna consciousness is better. Very, very important. So there is an indirect process and there's a direct process. The indirect process is philosophical speculation. Oh, this is not Krishna conscious. So trying to figure out by our own. One may reach, but it is long. It is like trying to understand who is my father without seeking shelter of mother. One may be able to get to know that if when one keeps researching the DNA and the RNA and whatnot of all the people, one may, Prabhupada this was saying, one may come to the point of Krishna consciousness. And the other process is the direct process, which is Bhakti Yoga. So the point here is that Krishna has given multiple options in chapter 2. And Arjuna is confused. Actually, Arjuna is not confused, but we have discussed very, very clearly that he is put into that confusion state for all of us to understand. Krishna consciousness is the direct method for devotional service. Very, very easy, simple, and sublime. There are no hard and fast rules in bhakti. There are no, you don't have to like stand on one leg, go to the forest. Oh, only people of certain age group can perform, or only the males can perform, or only the females can perform, or you need $1 million to start bhakti, or you need a PhD to start bhakti. You all just need a real pure heart to start bhakti. Or even you don't need a pure heart. Even if the heart is totally impure, you start bhakti, the heart will become pure. That's real PhD, to become pure-hearted devotee of Krishna. that is a very good qualification to have. So you all should try to be real PhDs, to become pure-hearted devotees. And how is that possible? Through the process of Krishna consciousness. Philosophical speculation and other processes, one can take that. That's not the recommended path. And it's very, very difficult also, which we will study later. One can get bewildered, one can get confused. Therefore, what is the recommended process? We have discussed to have good association of devotees, to have good reading of scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, to remember Krishna by chanting, doing kirtan, and to offer food to Krishna, which we will cover very shortly in the 13th verse. And then it's so easy and sublime. No complications. Okay. Na karmanam anarambhan Naishkarman Naishkarmyam Purusho Ashnute Nacha Sanyasa Deva Siddhim Samadhi Gacchati. Yes. Ravi Prabhu, want to read?
Not by merely obtaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So, freedom from reaction. What is the source of reaction? Who can answer that? Why is there reaction?
Action.
Okay. What is the Newton's third law, right? Every action has a equal and opposite reaction, right? Law of karma is kind of similar. As we sow, so shall we reap. बोया पेड़ बबूल का तो आम कहाँ से होए? If you sow a neem tree, then you'll get neem. You won't get mangoes. If you sow a mango tree, then you'll get mangoes. Now, someone can say, well, okay, action is leading to reaction. So what will I do? I will just stop the action. Correct? Then there will be no reaction. Correct? Good logic, right? So that's what Krishna is trying to address here. That not merely by stopping from work can one achieve freedom from reaction. And let's read the next verse also because they kind of go together. So, anarambhat. That means if you don't even start the action, then there'll be no reaction. You'll be free from reaction. Correct? But that's not going to happen. Why that's not going to happen? Let's read the next verse. Nahi kaschid shanam api jatu tishtati akarmakrit karyate hya avasa karma sarva prakriti jair gunai. Yes, someone wants to read the translation?
I can read, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Very, very nice. So fourth and fifth verse is, the fourth verse is kind of saying that we cannot renounce prematurely. Without purification of heart, sannyas is simply a disturbance to the social order, right? There are many sannyas doesn't mean to just wear saffron clothes. One can give up one wife in this life, but one can accompany the 6 wives. The 6 wives of lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, illusion. So what is the use of prematurely, kind of artificially, to get some name and fame and adoration? Oh, I'm a sannyasi. This is not really sannyas. This is a show of one's false ego. So, and Arjuna was also thinking, well, I'll just go to the forest and stop actions. And then Krishna says, Prakriti jar gunan. We are acting under the modes of nature. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, if you think that you will go to the forest, that over there also your Kshatriya spirit, your Kshatriya blood, your Kshatriya mentality will keep bothering you. And over there also you will be miserable and you'll be unhappy, and you'll continue to think of the war, because that's you're in that kind of mode of, and your varna is a kshatriya. So based on one's varna and ashrama, one has certain things to do, and certain do's and don'ts are there. Like Grihastha ashram has certain do's and don'ts. Sannyasa ashram has certain do's and don'ts. Similarly, Brahmanas have certain do's and don'ts, and Kshatriyas have some different do's and don'ts. So in short, Krishna is not approving of premature renunciation. Krishna is not saying to be dull and inactive. True devotee like Hanuman, he was not dull and inactive. He is an epitome of dedication, epitome of eagerness, epitome of enthusiasm, epitome of whatever you say, Lord Ram, I'll do it. Any genuine devotee, we see they are like, they have that spirit. Whatever Guru and Krishna wants, we will do it. And that is the process for purification. Not to do, oh, I feel like going to forest, I feel like not doing this, so I will not do it. Forget about what Krishna says, forget about what Guru says. This is not Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna had this mood to go to the forest, but did he really go? Did he fight, although he didn't want to fight? Although he wanted to go to the forest? This is the main message of Bhagavad Gita. To keep our desire, our so-called thoughts secondary. It's not wrong to ask questions. Arjuna also asked question because he was confused. He could not properly understand. And Guru helps the disciple understand the right and the wrong. And ultimately, the freedom was there. But Arjuna chose to follow Krishna's instructions because this is the real dharma. Now, can we stop acting? That's the next verse. Like, everyone is forced to act. Someone can say, I'll go to the forest. But what will we do? Can we stop acting even for a moment? Shanat api. We cannot even stop acting for a moment. Can anyone give example? We cannot stop acting even for a moment.
Like breathing, Prabhuji.
Like breathing. Yes, very good example. Thinking, right? You are thinking right now, when will this Shubhavilas Govindas, he just keeps speaking, we have to go and take prasadam, when will it stop, right? Right? Because we can't stop our thoughts. In 1 second, they get like hundreds of thoughts. And even one goes to the forest. Do you think that someone can live in the forest without acting? Without doing akarma? So akarma here is not the spiritual activity. Akarma in this shloka is basically not acting. So you have to understand in what context this word is used. Akarma krit. So one cannot remain jatu tishtati akarma krit. Even for a moment, one cannot do no activity. Right? Some people say, like when Prabhupada was very, very revolutionary in this. Earlier sannyasis were not traveling outside the India. You know that the sannyasis were not crossing the ocean. Sannyasis were not using the car. Imagine in 1930s or 40s, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, the Prabhupada's guru, was using car. At that time, it was very rare in the British era. He was using car at that time. So, showing that real akarma is not to stop actions, but real akarma is to use Krishna's energy in his service. That is the formula to stop the cycle of reaction, not to stop the action itself. Because Krishna is telling we cannot stop the actions. We cannot stop our thoughts. We cannot stop our our emotions. We cannot stop our breathing or in so many activities. So we can only transcendentalize that, because so now we cannot stop. That means we have few options, correct? Either we can do bad actions or good actions or neutral actions, or we can do transcendental actions. So we have to act. That's pretty much clear. Even going in the forest, one has to act. One has to breathe. While breathing, so many microorganisms are going, right? And what could be a bigger example in this day and age? That's why we are having this mask and right, everyone is using. But even with the mask and whatnot, like, so even like walking on the road, can we stop walking? Or driving on the road? So many insects are killed, right? Everyone agrees to that. So can we stop it? Can we? We can't do that. So we can only try to make it spiritual by living a life of Krishna consciousness. Because the nature of soul is active. The nature of soul is active. We cannot change that nature. Jivara Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. Prabhupada is quoting a very nice verse in this. Sorry, where did this go? Okay, very nice shloka in this purport. If someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties of the Shastras or execute the devotional service properly, and even though he may fall down from the standard, there is no loss for him. But if he carries out all the injunctions for purification in the Shastras, what does it avail him if he is not Krishna conscious? So quite deep point here. That means that even one tries the path of bhakti and one is not fully successful, correct? There is no loss. There's no loss in the sense that one will do 5%, 10%, 15%. In the next life, one will start from there. On the contrary, if one does all the ritualistic rules and regulation, do's and don'ts, but no Krishna consciousness, then what is the use? Then it is basically futile. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Now utpadyad yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. Let's see the next verse now. Text number 6. Karmaindriyani samyamya yaste manasa smaran Indriyartham vimodatma mithyacharasa uchyate. Yes, Megha Mataji, want to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called pretender. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you so much. So here, show bottle renunciation is discouraged, which we discussed earlier also. That means outside showing, oh, I am a great devotee. Oh, I am a sadhu. Oh, I am a saffron. I have this saffron dress. But inside, one is dwelling on all the vices. That's called mithyachari. Mithyachari, so uchyate, pretender. Or duplicitous, correct? We are recently reading a verse from the Bhagavatam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadham bhakti uparitam ashnami prayatatmanah. So in that very, very similar verses there in the Bhagavatam in Canto 8, chapter 22, very similar. Brahmaji is speaking. If someone offers fruit, flower, leaf, or water to the Lord with love and with no duplicity, word is used there, with no duplicity, without mithyachara. Mithyachara means pretender. Bhakti means simplicity. Vaishnavism means simplicity. Simplicity means inside, outside, same. But mithyachara means inside and outside, different. Showing something what we are not. Pretending something what we are not. Outside, wearing the dress of sannyasi, but inside, mind dwelling on the sense object. Lord Chaitanya didn't like that. Mohan Prabhu, you want to say something? Okay, you can raise your hand if you want to say. Um, I guess you got unmuted accidentally. So, pretentiousness. Yeah, Mohan Prabhu, you wanted to say something or unmuting yourself again and again? Okay, thank you. So, pretentiousness is not encouraged here. Such a pretender's mind is always impure. Therefore, his show of yogic meditation has no value whatsoever. Also, Prabhupada is addressing them as greatest of the cheaters who cheat the innocent public by just show bottle kind of spirituality. But bhakti means simplicity. Bhakti means innocence. Bhakti means no duplicity. Like Duryodhana showed duplicity to Krishna. On the name of Chappan Bhoga, he wanted to bribe Krishna so that Krishna could fight on his behalf. Krishna didn't like that. Who can try to trick Krishna? If you try to trick Krishna, he is the best of the trickers. He is the best amongst the Chaliyas. We know Vaman Dev, how he tricked Bali Maharaj, how Krishna tricked the Kauravas so many times. So in short, one should not be a pretentious person. One should not be a pretender. Jagai and Madai were also not pretenders. They were not mithyacharis. They said they are bad and they did bad. It's not that they said we are great and they were kind of externally doing something and internally different. One devotee said that Lord Chaitanya is very, very merciful, Patita Pavana. But he's not Kapati Pavana. Kapat means pretentiousness again. So we should not be Kapati or Mithyachari or pretender or artificially try to renounce while inside, thinking of something else, or outside talking big things like how I do, and inside very shallow. So we should be genuine at heart and try to sincerely strive for. We may not be there yet, this is fine, but we are trying to get there. We are trying to improve. We are trying to purify ourselves. We are trying to follow the highest standards of bhakti, and that effort will certainly reach to its zenith. Yasta vindriyani manasa niyamarabhate arjuna karmendriya karma yogam asakta sa vishishyate. Yes, Manasa Mataji, you want to read?
On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga without achievement, he is by far superior.
Thank you. This is very, very nice verse and a very, very practical verse also. So what we just studied, we don't have to follow that. That means pretentiousness or show bottle religion or show bottle renunciation. What do we have to prove? To whom we have to prove? All we have to prove is to Krishna, and Krishna knows our heart. If we are sincerely trying to do our best in karma yoga, here referred to as Krishna consciousness, it is fine. Krishna knows that it is not easy. Krishna, we know it is not easy, but we are sincerely trying to move forward. And when we sincerely try, without becoming a pseudo transcendentalist, pseudo means false again, then Krishna will appreciate that. And Prabhupada is mentioning a beautiful line here. A sincere sweeper in the street is far better than a charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. Charlatan is again like a cheater or pseudo person, a false guru. So we should not have the show bottle spiritualism, which to cheat the innocent public, to show I am a great devotee. Rather, a sincere, even one is in the Grihastha life. It's Arjuna was in the Grihastha life. There are so many examples in Grihastha life we have discussed. So it's not that one has to give up one's family or kids or husband or wife or job or family or anything like that. Rather, one has to purify those attachments. One has to transcendentalize those attachments. Then everything will be perfect. So Krishna is discouraging Arjuna's choice or option to go to forest. Show bottle religiousness, show bottle spiritualism. And you all like to hear stories, right? I'll share stories from Sri Ramanujacharya. That some of his disciples were sannyasis, brahmacharis, and many were grihasthas. He had thousands and thousands of disciples. There was a disciple named Dhanurdas and his wife, a nice, very wonderful family, extraordinary attachment to the Guru. On the other hand, he was quite opulent also. So Ramanujacharya, because of the spiritual maturity and the spiritual eagerness of this couple, was giving a little extra mercy to them by giving them time, attention. And the sannyasi disciples were kind of thinking, well, our Guru Maharaj is in Maya. A disciple thinking that the Guru, and that too, a Guru like Ramanujacharya is in Maya or an illusion. And Ramanujacharya, being such a great soul, got to know what's going on in the mind of the disciples. So one day, and why the disciples were, the sannyasi disciples were thinking like that? Because they were thinking this Dhanudas is so attached person, so attached to his wife, family, and all that stuff, to money. And why is Guru Maharaj giving so much attention to him? Ramacharya understood. So one day what he did, these sannyasis have this, a kopin, or it's kind of a loincloth to kind of cover their private parts. So those were hanging in a kind of an array. There were hundreds of disciples. So what he did, he kind of moved the loincloth and maybe ripped apart there. It's just a straight piece of cloth, like a very insignificant thing. You can easily get, make like 20 of those from one dhoti, right? Or 50 of those from one dhoti. And guess what? Ramacharya did this in the night, and next morning, they all had a fight, a verbal fight. You tore my loincloth, you did this, mine is missing, or you must have taken this and that, and they were all fighting. Over what? A tiny piece of cloth. So pretty much, let's say 50 cents. It's worth 50 cents in modern day and age. They were all kind of like arguing, debating, you did this to me, mine, and next time I'll see you in this. And in the later, Amritsar saw all this, and later he said, this Dhanurdas? This Dhanurdas is quite an attached person to his wealth, to his wife. He's so attached. And the disciples were thinking, oh, now the Guru has become self-realized. Now the Guru has really understood what we had been trying to communicate forever. Now Krishna has kind of given him the Nami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mama Payanti Te. Now Krishna has given him the intelligence so that he can understand the Hridas, how attached and such a sense gratified he is. So Ramanacharya said, why don't we do something? Maybe, let's take a test. Let's um, some of you go to his home, and when he's out and the wife is at home, try to steal the jewelry. I think that's a good plan. And then we will see when Dhanudars comes back, he must be so aggravated. He must be, so sad about this whole situation that the precious gold jewelry is gone. So disciples said, wow, that's a brilliant plan. And some of them volunteered for this task, which they had been eagerly waiting for. And then they went to the home of Dhanudas. And Dhanudas was out. It was a perfect time to get a chance to steal the wife's jewelry. And the wife was sleeping. So she was sleeping on the left side. So imagine, on the left side. She was not sleeping straight. She was sleeping on one side. That means the right side, the hand, and etc. were kind of open, and the left side was, of course, under her body. So the disciples saw that this wife is sleeping, and they started to take out the jewelry from the hand which was up, and they started to take the earrings from the one side of the body, all the jewelry which they could take from one side of the body. And the wife was not like fast asleep. She understood what was going on, but she didn't object anything. She acted as if she is totally asleep, so that and she was thinking in the heart, well, these are our god brothers, and that too, these are renounced god brothers. They are so worshipable devotees. Our Guru Maharaj must be in need of some funds. So this is a golden opportunity for me to be of some service. So let me do my best, and let me act as if I'm completely asleep. She's all doing this in the heart. Her eyes are closed. And then she realized that they had taken the jewelry from the one side. And then she wanted to kind of offer her complete self, and she wanted to offer the jewelry on the other side. So she very, very politely kind of took a turn, so that they could take the other side of the jewelry as well. But the disciples thought that, wow, oh, she's awake, and then they ran. So they took significant jewelry from her one side of the body, and guess what? They were all waiting outside, kind of hiding, waiting for Dhanurdas, the husband, to come and see how will he react? How will he react to this whole situation when he gets to know that all the jewelry has been stolen? So the wife narrated, you know what? Our Guru Maharaj must be in need of some funds to build some mutt or temple, or for some preaching work. The disciples came and they stole the jewelry, or not the stole, they took the jewelry. But I am so unfortunate. I wanted to give the other side of the jewelry, other part of the body's jewelry as well. But when I turned, that they felt that I am awake and not to be caught, they kind of flew away. And Dhanurdas was so sad, so sad, so sad about this whole situation. Why? He said, we are so unfortunate that we could only give half of the jewelry. Look at our misfortune. And she said, oh, my dear wife, why you didn't turn softly? Why you kind of gave them a feeling that you are awake? You should have turned softly so that they didn't feel like you are awake. So that was his mood, not complaining why the jewelry was gone, the precious jewelry was gone. And then Ramanujacharya said, look at this couple. And earlier, your 50 cent of kopin was gone, and you were crying like anything and fighting and arguing with each other for a 50-cent thing. And look at this couple who want to follow the mood of Bali Maharaj, give their complete self. Sarvasva Tomar Charane Sampiya. Krishna, everything belongs to you only. Who am I to give you anything? So, a sincere householder is better than a charlatan meditator. Of course, this is a lesson we have to take. All glories to Ramanujacharya and all glories to all his disciples, whether brahmachari, sannyasi, grihastha, etc. All these great souls do these pastimes to teach us a lesson. But the lesson, and even in Prabhupada's movement, we see there are so many wonderful grihasthas and there are so many wonderful sannyasis and so many wonderful brahmacharis. Who were the couples, the three young couples? They went to London to start the International Society for Krishna Consciousness there, living in cardboard boxes. Can you imagine living in cardboard boxes? That was, even a sannyasi in this day and age would not think of doing so. Correct? And they had a young, like a few month old daughter. Can we imagine the height of their renunciation? Real renunciation is to please Krishna, to please Guru. A sincere sweeper in the street is better than a charlatan meditator. So the point here is that bhakti does not mean to stop acting. Bhakti means to transcendentalize whichever ashram we are. We have family, we have to take care in a spiritual way. We are in as a student life, our duty is to study nicely, and of course the conditional and the constitutional duties, nicely balancing them. Nitye kuru karma karmatvam karmagyayo hya karmanaha sharira yatrapi chate na prasidyed akarmanaha. Okay, wasn't yet read? Yes, Sampada Mataji.
Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I think we are discussing this point again and again, that inaction or akarma is not encouraged. Even to, let's say one stops walking, stops breathing, stops eating, stops drinking. What is the next step for him or her? Stops living, right? Correct? You stop eating, stop drinking, stop walking, stop breathing, then stop living. And that means that's death, right? So one cannot even maintain one physical body. You want to maintain the physical body, what to speak of, let's say, take the spiritual element out for a few moments. Even if we take the spiritual element out for a few moments, even to maintain the body, we need to work, we need to cook food, we need to use our legs, our hands, our mouth. So laziness is discouraged here. Bhagavad Gita, does not encourage laziness. People sometimes think, if I read Bhagavad Gita, I'll become lazy. Bhagavad Gita is encouraging transcendental action, nishkama karma yoga. The work should not be given up capriciously. Prabhupada is making a point here. Work should not be given up capriciously without the purification of materialistic propensities. So in short, premature renunciation is discouraged. It's not that, oh, I heard a class of Bhagavad Gita. Oh, Vrindavan Dham is everything. Oh, I'll become Gopi in Vrindavan. Oh, stop working, stop doing anything, and I'm going to Vrindavan. Chodo ghar bar, chalo Haridwar. Give up family, give up home, and chalo Haridwar. Go to far. Some people have a disagreement or argument with their wife, and then they go to Haridwar. And guess what? They'll smoke beedi there, they'll drink chai there, tea, coffee, beedi, cigarette. What's the use of that? and still the mind is meditating upon sense desire, opposite sex, money, name, fame, recognition. So one has to purify. Human life is to develop attachment to Krishna and stop and the reduce our bodily attachments and develop our spiritual attachments. So, and that does not happen overnight, right? To increase spiritual attachments and reduce materialistic attachments, it's a journey. It's a journey. So we have to not just capriciously, it's not like a button you on and off. As I gave the example of a Titanic, it will take time even to kind of, gradually reduce the momentum. If one is going full speed in one direction, wrong direction, it will be a gradual transition to kind of, switch. The radius of curvature would be quite big. This is what Bhagavad Gita is teaching. So don't give up anything prematurely, capriciously. And a lot of examples here. Even in ISKCON, like, one of my teachers, His Grace Gopeshwar Prabhu, who's the temple president in Faridabad, very, very amazing devotee. And everyone's situation is different. And he's a very, very mature and amazing devotee. Some of you may have heard his classes in the weekend classes. So he was, and even Prashant Mukund Prabhu, you may have heard his classes as well. They're like full-time devotees, much active. They have family. Gopeshwar Prabhu has a wife. Prashant Mukund Prabhu even has children, two boys. But they did not abruptly give up. They are very qualified. Even though in the family life, they may not be working so-called jobs and stuff, but they carefully discuss with their spiritual masters, their Diksha Gurus, Siksha Gurus, like how, so premature renunciation is not encouraged here. That does not mean that one should work till the fag ends of one's life. The ashramas are nicely designed. So we have to nicely plan our lives so that slowly we can reduce our material attachments, go down. At the same time, the spiritual attachments are going up and up. And at the right age, for some it could be 50, for some it could be 55, for some it could be even 45. That depends on a lot of factors, one's family situations, one's financial situations, one's level of bhakti, most importantly. But one should not kind of keep planning to work till like 70 years or 75 years or, and most people get a heart attack on the Monday at work. That's a statistic. So we should nicely plan our lives and nicely plan does not mean stop charity. So extremes are always bad. Bhagavad Gita is not encouraging extreme. Planning, saving, and forget about the present charity, forget about the present. No, that's not good either. And so extremes are discouraged. Any extreme is discouraged. Work extra, get extra money. And then what? Compromise bhakti today. So one of the great devotees, His Grace Anand Prabhu, asked his guru, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, that Maharaj, I think it's a good idea. I should work these 10 years like a dog, like very, very hard, 20 hours every day. And then I have to only work 10 years. Then I can just retire. Good idea, right? Then I will be having sufficient funds to manage the rest of my 30 years, probably, which I'm going to live, comparing, like the average lifespan. So his Guru Maharaj didn't encourage that, because you'll be compromising the 10 crucial years of bhakti and the spiritual life. And who knows that we have 10 years to live, right? Can anyone say for certain? What to speak of 10 years? We don't know of 10 days. So we have to nicely under guidance, plan and execute. Okay, sorry, I missed that. Can you please repeat? Okay, Okay, so we discussed till Parnamataji, you were saying something. Sorry, it's not very clear. Okay, maybe you can type in if maybe there's some issue on the network side. Let's take some comments, some thoughts, some reflections. Any comments, additions, reflections? Yes, Sheetal Mataji.
Prabhuji, in the beginning, when you said that Krishna consciousness is Buddhi Yoga, I thought it was Bhakti Yoga. Is it the same or both?
It is the same, but Arjuna kind of misunderstood it. He didn't misunderstand but he wanted to clarify for us. But Prabhupada often uses the term Buddhi Yoga as Bhakti Yoga. But Buddhi Yoga literally means to use our intelligence in the service of Lord, which is also Bhakti Yoga. So those terms are oftentimes used interchangeably, but in general, we say Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga. Sometimes Karma Yoga is also used as Bhakti Yoga. So we have to see which verse, and Prabhupada's mood there. Like example I gave of akarmana, akarma. Akarma here in this few verses is talking about not acting. But in chapter 2, we talk about akarma. Over there, that akarma means acting for the pleasure of Krishna. That's akarma. Nice question. Yes, Aparna Mataji, you have a comment? Or?
In text 4, I missed the fifth word. You were speaking about lust, anger, pride, greed. What was the fifth word?
You're on mute, Prabhuji.
I could not get your question properly. Can you try to reconnect? There is a lot of disturbance on. Can you please reconnect?
In text 4, you were talking about 5 words, isn't it? So, that was lust, anger, pride, greed. I missed the fifth word. What was the fifth word?
Did anyone get the question? Sorry.
I think, Prabhuji, what Mata is asking is those six vices, like the Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mad, Moh, Matsar. So she basically missed the other two. She missed the two part of it.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
Okay. So lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and illusion. These are the Shad Anarthas. They are unlimited, but these are the main ones. These are the main anarthas. So the example is that one may give up one wife and be surrounded by these 6 wives. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else has any other comment, addition, any reflection? Yes, Sheetal Mataji?
Prabhuji, does the law of karma, like action reaction, does it apply to thoughts?
It's a very good point. This question is answered differently in different settings. So I would say in the beginning level, in Satyuga, it was certainly applicable. In Satyuga, if one does a wrong activity even in the mind, in the previous yuga, let's put it this way, except Kali Yuga, if one does even a wrong activity in the mind or thoughts, then one will get bad reaction of it. In Kali Yuga, there is special mercy actually. Kali Yuga is an ocean of gone cases. If one does spiritual things, good things, for example, even if the mind offers, let's say, a golden crown to Krishna, meditating upon the deity and offers golden crown to Krishna, golden jewelry to Krishna, thinking about, oh, getting water from Yamuna river, making a kheer for the Lord, getting the cow milk from Surabhi cows and preparing a kheer. And there are a lot of pastimes where devotees have done that in the mind. One famous example, there was a poor brahmachari. He was cooking a meal, kheer, sweet rice for the Lord. And we don't offer very, very hot food stuff to the Lord. So he was testing. He put his finger in the pot of the kheer in his mind. In his mind, he put, let me test this. Is it too hot? And guess what? And his meditation broke because it was too hot and he had a boil on his finger. So the point is, Krishna does accept in the mind as well. In Kali Yuga, thinking of good for others, even in the mind, will lead to that positivity, will have that spiritual benefit for sure. And thinking of wrong in the mind does not lead to bad reactions. But there's an asterisk. For new people, it's good. But all of you are very, very mature devotees. So because what happens? Watch your thoughts, because thoughts become actions. Watch your actions, because actions become habit. And watch your habits, because habits become character. So that does not mean it gives us a discount. Okay, in the mind, I can criticize others. In the mind, I can speak ill about others. If knowingly, unknowingly, because of past baggage, it comes, that's a different story. We have to purify it. We have to consciously, and that's also mentioned. If the unknowingly mind goes in a bad direction, we have to bring it back to the right thing. But if we are doing it voluntarily, then we are setting up ourselves for failure. Then we are setting ourselves, because those thoughts, those negativity will manifest very soon in the words and very soon in the actions as well. And that will take us to the cycle of action and reaction. So that's what I have learned from senior Vaishnavas. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Any more thoughts, additions, comments, reflections? Reflection is not just a question, it's basically like a paraphrasing of something really struck you. That's basically reflection. It's not a question. It's something from the discussion we had, from the verses and the purports and the translation, which really struck you, or kind of, was very insightful to you today. Anyone wants to share? Yashda Mataji, you want to say something? And Renu Mataji, I request you also say one thought at least, something inspired you or from Bhagavad Gita today. Yes.
Yeah. The thing, I'm sorry. Can I continue?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Today, the topic, what you said, that bhakti doesn't mean leaving all your responsibilities and being detached to the family life. That really struck me, because from few days I was having that question in my mind, that should I leave everything after my kids settle down? Maybe my kids are now 10 and 8, 6, 7 years old. So I thought, once they are 15 or 12, can I leave everything and go in some aloof place and then, just sit with chanting God and all that stuff? That again, I was thinking that, is it right leaving everybody at that stage and then doing something like that? Because I find peace there. Is that a selfish motive? then that thought was going on, and you explained me today that bhakti can be done in Gruhatashramam, and 90% of the people are with the family life. So that really, the thinking process has changed for me. I think I need not leave anything, but create my own space to be in Krishna conscious.
Thank you. That's very insightful. And when that space is created together as a family, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that when I come home, I feel like Vaikuntha. So that would be ideal, but I understand life does not go the ideal way. But yeah, when we sincerely try, Krishna will help.
Yeah, that changed a bit, and I'm still thinking in a different angle now. Yeah, that's not the way that you have to leave everything, our responsibilities, and then go for Krishna conscious. I think I can be in the middle of this life and be also Krishna conscious, and chanting his mantra, Maha Mantra, also gives me that same satisfaction. Thank you, Prabhuji. It was a good session today. Yeah.
Thank you.
Every session I have a question and you solve the problem. It really is true that Bhagavad Gita has answers to your questions. So whenever I listen to your classes, the thoughts keeps on going on in my mind, and I get the answers in some or the other way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
That's all the word of the Supreme Lord Krishna.
True.
It's like the manual of life has question to all the challenges of life. So thank you so much.
True. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna. Yes, Yashoda Mataji, one last comment or addition.
Hello, Prabhuji. I was just thinking about what you said regarding thoughts. During this pandemic, we have most of us have been touched with the sadness and tragedy. And we in families, friends, and relatives, and extended group of our friends. But yeah, in this, we feel like when we have our thoughts going through this mind, which is telling us like, okay, this is all that's going to happen, which is bad. And if you think of having positive thoughts and bringing out the positiveness from whatever, whether it is bhakti or whether it is doing something good for your family or to the community, returning what you can, brings us immense of happiness and contentment. And that's what I felt like. Yes, you do have thoughts, and I still have these scary thoughts that come in the mind in the night before we sleep. But just chanting or having his presence in your heart, and then feeling that positiveness fill up your heart and your mind and your soul, really helps you move along and see the brighter side of this, and hope that this ends soon for every one of us, because here it's not like one or two people, and everybody all over the world is facing this. And so yeah, this has helped a lot, and it has given me the strength and courage to overcome that loss that we had faced, and also be the strength for whoever needs it. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you so much. No, that's so true that a lot of people are going through a very difficult time. It's a time of great challenge for thousands and millions of people. And everyone is in a fearful state. So tomorrow we have a very, very special class by Her Grace Nitai Sevani Mataji of overcoming fear. Because everyone is fearful in this situation, in this world, in this bhaya. So I highly recommend everyone tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern to please join. The link is the same to join that. She's a very wonderful Vaishnavi in Hyderabad, Visakhapatnam area. She's a school principal and also a PhD, and not just in material life, but a pure-hearted devotee as well. So in both materially and spiritually, very, very well accomplished. So please try to attend that if possible. And that will really help us to overcome our fears and insecurities we all may be going through. Okay, but thank you so much, Ishda Mataji, for sharing your thoughts and concerns. So I guess a little over 7, so we can pause here and continue with the next verse next week, which will be Saturday again evening. So thank you again for all your time, patience, and enthusiasm to read, hear, understand Bhagavad Gita, and to have this family-like atmosphere, this good association to nurture us, to help us grow in our spiritual life. Thank you so much to all the devotees. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Hare